I've talked to so many entrepreneurs where this has really been a reflection point for them on how can they do things differently in their business moving forward to create a stronger and healthier business into the future. And so whether or not you've been impacted by coronavirus in your business, thinking about evaluating income streams in a new way is something that's top of mind for many business owners. And so how do we add more income streams? How do you offset the weaknesses that your current income streams have with others, so that way the whole pool fills faster and your business makes more money and is stronger and healthier both now and in the future? And just to be clear, this isn't about setting up another hose and just having a little trickle of water come out. And I just want to make that distinction because I have the privilege of talking to many business owners, and they'll say, well, yeah, I have a website, and yeah, I'm on Amazon, and I'm also selling in these other places. But if your website isn't actually selling anything, or it's making up less than 5% of your total sales, that's what we would consider to be just a trickle of water. And so it's really not a viable revenue stream. And, we want to make sure that when we're thinking about health and strength of the business, that we've got multiple revenue streams that have lots of money flowing through them, so that your whole pool is filling up and you've got more gross revenue really pouring into your business.
So as Emily and I were discussing the topic of this webinar, the Webgility client, Groomers Pro, really came to mind as an example of a client who is doing multi-channel and doing it really well. So Marco Lalau launched Groomers Pro in 2005 as a dog grooming on the go business that was kind of run out of a van in Southern California. The business quickly grew into identifying and selling grooming tools directly to its customers, and kind of made a name for itself as a curated source of, best-in-class pet grooming supplies. So as the retail side of that business took off, the company expanded to a catalog business, and then online with 2 big commerce stores, one devoted to selling pet apparel and the other to selling grooming supplies, both selling to groomers and customers all over the country. And though these direct sales channels were successful, Lalau saw the opportunity to reach new audiences where they were already shopping on Amazon. But he employs a different sales strategy on Amazon than he does in his direct business. So he's selective about what Groomers Pro sells on Amazon, selecting specific products that have, little to no competition there, so he can protect margins while still winning sales. And the company launches its products on Amazon as seller fulfilled to get a little bit of initial data on demand, and then expands to FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, for those of you who aren't currently selling on Amazon, once they're ready to kind of handle the increased volume that comes with being Prime eligible. So this strategy helped the company grow orders by over 200% in just 2 years. And to Emily's point about multiple hoses, not one sales channel in this strategy, website, catalog, Amazon, the van, make up 50% of the business. So this allows the business to continue to succeed even if they encounter struggles in one channel or another. And he told us Amazon is our side hustle. We don't depend 100% on Amazon, and that's our competitive advantage. So he really sees the benefit of channel diversification and its impact on his business.
Yeah, I love that story. And, it's so fun to follow businesses as they grow over the years and as they expand multi-channel, because it really opens up so many more opportunities, both from a revenue perspective, but also just a strength and diversification perspective as well. So if you've just joined in the last few minutes, go ahead and pop into the chat where you're currently selling your products. So that way we have an idea of what channels are being represented by the attendees here. Tanis, if that's how you say your name, from Florida, is selling on the website and then also on Instagram. So we're getting a little bit of feedback, but go ahead and pop that into the chat. So when we think about channel expansion opportunities, there's certainly even more than what's listed here, but often for businesses, these would encompass the next right option. So we're getting some more people jumping in saying Amazon, Walmart, own website, Instagram, Amazon wholesale, a couple of people just doing eBay right now. Tana said he's also doing brick and mortar. So really, really cool to see the diversity just amongst these participants. And so again, your own website, Amazon, other marketplaces, brick and mortar, retail distribution, wholesale, these are all certainly like viable channel expansion options. And so what we really want to think about is what's the goal? And the goal for your business in channel expansion may be different than for someone else. So it could be, what's the fastest path to adding additional revenue to my business? So in thinking about that pool, how can I fill up the pool the quickest? I want to add more revenue. It may just be what's the largest opportunity? Like, wow, if I could land my product into the Apple store, that would be huge. It may not be the fastest path, but it would just, be the absolute largest. It may be to offset the weakness of another channel. I was talking to a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company here in Southern California, and she has 14 locations where they do eyebrow threading. And so you might, on surface, pre-coronavirus, think like that's pretty diversified, right? There's 14 different locations. And so even if a couple of them aren't performing well, then you're still diversified with all of these other stores. And then now our eyes have been open to the fact that, like, wow, if we have to service the customer in one specific way, that really could be a weakness. And so your goal might be just offsetting the weakness of another channel. So if you're primarily brick and mortar, going online, if you're primarily selling, a certain type of products, expanding into, a different type. So those are just the ways to be thinking about what's going to make the most sense for you. What's the easiest channel to deploy? And so for the purposes of today's talk, we're going to focus mainly on Amazon and then on your own website, because typically one of those will check the boxes for fastest, largest, and easiest. But your business, if you've got a retail distribution purchase order in your hands for 100,000 units, then hey, that's going to be the largest and fastest for you. And absolutely, you should be going after that. So let's dive in a little bit more specifically to Amazon and how it may be the right next best opportunity for your business. So the interesting thing about Amazon is, when we think about shopping malls, and this picture here is the Mall of America, and it's the Mall of America actually on opening day. And so at Mall of America, 40 million people visit every year and they spend $2 billion. And now it's like actually weird to see all of those people crowded together. So it's funny how things change just in a matter of months. But when we compare that in-store shopping experience to Amazon, has nearly 10x the number of shoppers that go into the Mall of America every year on their website. And they're purchasing, 24/7 by 365. Even in the middle of a pandemic, people are shopping on Amazon. And Amazon controls more than 4 out of every $10 that's spent online. And when US consumers are polled, over half of them start their online shopping with Amazon. So when we think about this as an opportunity, again, largest, fastest, potentially easiest to deploy, it may check those boxes for your business. However, if you're already on Amazon and you're like, yeah, okay, it hasn't been the largest or fastest for me. I want to just contextualize why that might be, because the people aren't just anywhere on Amazon. Yes, there are 310 million shoppers, but they're all on page one of Amazon. And so if your products aren't on page one, then they're simply not findable. And so I share this quick little screenshot. This is if you type in camping pillow into Amazon, and it's a screenshot of just the top of page one. Now, Amazon gives us some brand analytics data that tells us exactly which products are winning the most click share and conversion share on any given keyword. And what we can see is that Red Camp, which is that black and white checkered pillow, is earning 26.5% of all of the clicks for camping pillow. And then Teton, which is the red and black checkered one right next to it, is getting just over 15% of all of the clicks. And then in third place is Trekology, that blue kind of inflatable looking pillow, at 6.8% of the clicks. So you can see already how much it drops off just going from first to second to third position. And essentially it means that 50% of the business is going to those top three products, which leaves about 50% of the clicks available for the 30,000 plus competing products that are also camping pillows that want to earn that business. So Amazon, it's not just about putting your products on Amazon. They also have to be findable, and you need to have a system to do that. If you don't, you're really no better than, selling your products in the middle of the Sahara Desert where, your products might be the best thing out there, but nobody can find them. So the bottom line when it comes to Amazon as a channel expansion opportunity is that if you want to commit to being on Amazon, which I'm a huge proponent of for many, many brands and entrepreneurs, it can be incredibly lucrative and just a really wonderful opportunity to acquire new customers, but you also need to commit to being findable on Amazon. So now let's talk a little bit about going direct to consumer. That's what DTC stands for, on your own website. So again, you probably already have a website with your products for sale on it, but perhaps it's like the hose that's set up that just has a little trickle of water coming through. And so that's the one thing that we see often when it comes to direct to consumer website expansion is not understanding that you have to drive the traffic. And so if you've got your product for sale here in the middle of the desert, again, it doesn't matter how amazing your product is, how price competitive it is, how beautiful your website looks, there's simply no traffic, and therefore you're not going to get the sales that you need. And so if you can invest, and so just like on Amazon where you need to commit to being on Amazon but also being findable, likewise with your website, you need to commit to driving traffic. And so what that often looks like is using influencers, using PR, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, maybe Google SEO. And oftentimes it's bringing on kind of a team that has some expertise around that to really drive traffic to your website. But the advantages of being direct to consumer on your own website are huge because you own that customer. You've got their email address. You can remarket to them. You can let them know the next time you're doing a sale or a promotion. There's a lot more levers that you can pull to increase loyalty, to increase average order value, and increase the lifetime value of that customer. So when we think about omni-channel expansion, really each channel can help to build the next. And so I wanted to give a couple examples of that because the way that we shop and purchase and the way that brands are built really is different in the year 2020 than it was 10 years ago. And so these are a couple brands that started as just online direct-to-consumer brands. So Purple mattresses, they were only online. So here you were buying a mattress that you couldn't lay on and try it. And now they've expanded into brick and mortar. And so a lot of malls, believe it or not, have Purple stores now. So they kind of did things in reverse. MeUndies is an underwear brand that, again, had a ton of success online and direct to consumer, and now has opened some flagship retail locations. So it's certainly possible, and it's not a matter of just choosing one channel and being diehard for that. It's thinking about channel expansion as a sequence and a process, because if you do it right, every channel you expand onto is going to open up more opportunities and possibilities for your business. And this is something that we've had the joy of seeing with a lot of our clients at Elevate. So this is Jessica, and she has a brand called Naturally Clean Eats. They're really healthy, delicious bars. And we helped her launch onto Amazon and quickly get some traction there. And having the presence on Amazon and having a lot of 5-star reviews actually helped her land a deal with Target and with Whole Foods. And this is something that we hear time and time again from the brands that we work with, is when you're in that meeting with the Target buyer or you're in that meeting with the Costco buyer, they're going to open their laptop and look and type your brand into Amazon and see what comes up. Because when you think about a buyer, what do they want? They want a product that they know is going to sell. And so they want to reduce risk, right? They've got a risk of purchasing your product and putting it on the shelves and it not selling. And so Amazon is a really nice benchmark for them to show that there's already demand out there and that the product is already well received and well reviewed, and that customers are satisfied when they purchase it. So another example, this is Sachi Chandra, and she's the founder of a tea brand. And we started working with them just after they had launched to Amazon and their sales were off to a slow start. We took them from essentially being invisible on the channel, again, not at the top of page one, to being the #1 coffee and tea gift on all of Amazon. And now 6-figure months are predictable, they're expected. And they've expanded into high-end grocery stores. Their website has continued to grow and grow and grow as Amazon has grown. So it's really, this is an example of channels building on each other and being kind of that rising tide that raises all ships. So we touched on traffic and how important that is, both on Amazon and on the website. People have to be able to see your product in order to buy it. And so on Amazon, often when I'm talking to brands that aren't on Amazon yet, their complaint is like, well, Amazon's so expensive. There's so many fees. And so for most categories on Amazon, you do pay a 15% referral fee. Essentially, you're buying their traffic. So the fact that Amazon has 300 million customers that are at the bottom of the funnel, meaning that they're very hot, they're going to buy something. It's just a matter of whether they buy your product or someone else's. You're paying a 15% fee for that. And then any advertising that you do as well to help get to the top of Amazon. Can we go back one slide, Chris? One mistake that I see business owners make a lot is they believe that their margins are much higher on their own website, but they're not properly quantifying all of the ways that they're paying for traffic to get to their website. So oftentimes, in order to have a really thriving direct-to-consumer website business, you're running Facebook ads, you're running Instagram ads, you're doing Google SEO, you're doing social media marketing and management, you're working with influencers, you may have a PR team that's helping out as well. And those are all really great things. And I'm a huge proponent of that. If you've got the budget for it, you should be doing those. And then, one of the things that is tricky then is attributing that to the channel and the sales that it's associated with. And so understand that, yes, Amazon does take fees but they're also giving you something in return for that. And your website and any other channel is also taking fees. It just looks a little bit different on your P&L at the end of the month. And Chris, I don't know if you want to share that we'll be digging into that a little deeper next week.
Yeah, so next week in the continuing series, we'll be talking about assessing profitability for multi-channel sellers. There's a number of ways to look at your profitability if you're selling across multiple channels. So we invite you to join us for that as well. You can assess the profitability by channel, but also profitability of different product lines across different channels. And I know there's a number of ways that retailers are thinking about how to assess what the right sales strategy is based on the data that they're seeing with their own systems.
Perfect, thank you. And so the question that this begs is like, does it have to be either or? Do I have to pick expanding onto Amazon or expanding on my own website or expanding into retail distribution? No, absolutely not. It really should be both and. This is something that we see time and time again, and the data bears out. People worry about channel cannibalization, and if I'm on Amazon, is it going to cannibalize on my own website? And I have to just choose one, and it's not true, patently false. You can grow multi-channel in parallel. It is the rising tide that raises all ships. And so it shouldn't feel like you're, backing yourself into a corner and making a decision that's going to exclude other channels. It's really just a question of sequencing. So where do I invest my time and money next? Because for most brands, unless you're backed by venture capital, it's just too expensive to invest in opening up 2 or 3 new channels all at the same time. So it's just a strategic play. Is Amazon the next right channel and then I focus more on my website? Or do I focus on my website first and then do Amazon, or any other combination that might make sense for your business? Diversification, without a doubt, gives businesses strength. So, hopefully you feel really confident in that statement based on some of what we've shared thus far. But it does also give businesses a lot of complexity. So the more channels that you're on, the more complex your supply chain, your inventory management, your operations, your accounting. It's going to be trickier to keep track of all of that, to have good systems in place for that. And so, as Chris mentioned, next week, we'll be diving more into assessing the profitability for multi-channel sellers. So that way we can help address these concerns that you might have around the complexities of running a multi-channel business.
And with that in mind, we're curious what else you'd like to know when you think about selling multi-channel online. So I'm launching a poll right now, which should be visible to you now. What else would you like to hear from us for future webinars? Addressing inventory and supply chain issues, expanding your product catalog, or thinking about how to sequence new channels for expansion? What should come first, and what are some tactics there? So I'll give everybody a minute to vote here, and then that'll help us decide what to do next in the series. All right, just 10 more seconds and then I'll close out the poll. Okay, so it looks like 56% of respondents are looking for sequencing new channels for expansion. So thanks, guys. That is useful information for us going forward.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And we may be able to address some of that in the Q&A today as well. So Just going back to this visual, remember, the more hoses in the pool, the faster the water rises. So the faster you're able to dump more gross sales into your business, the stronger your business will become to withstand external forces, whether it's coronavirus, whether it's a bad economy, or, you know, other challenges that the future holds. So on the next slide, I'm curious if you guys have heard this one before, but do you know when is the best time to plant an oak tree? 20 years ago. Do you know when the second best time is to plant an oak tree? Now, today. So often when I talk to brand owners, they'll say something like, Emily, I'm just late to the game. Like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, Amazon would have been amazing. Or maybe they even sold at that time and they knew how much easier it was. And they're like, now it's so crowded. Or maybe same thing with your website. You feel like, now Facebook ads are so much more expensive than they used to be. I'm really late to the game. The thing is that you can beat yourself up over that, or you can be a part of the solution and make a change now. So yeah, it would have been great to plant that oak tree 20 years ago, but you didn't. So the second best time is now. It's today. And so, if you're feeling like you missed the boat, or like Amazon's too saturated, or you should have started driving online sales sooner, it may be true, but the second best time is right now. And I can tell you that we help new brands launch to Amazon on a monthly basis, and there's still plenty of opportunity. So the opportunity is not gone. It's not dried up. It's still there and available for you and your products. So when we think about next steps, it kind of goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, which is determining your goal. So when you think about channel expansion, what do you need? Do you need the fastest way to infuse cash into your business? Are you looking for the largest opportunity? Are you looking to offset another weakness in your business? And that's going to help you decide which channel is the best next step. And we can, talk through some of that for you guys in the Q&A, since it sounds like that's, an interesting topic based on the poll results. And I would really suggest getting support from the experts, not just myself. So clearly not an exhaustive list of experts here, but when it comes to Amazon, I do offer a limited number of free Amazon strategy sessions. And so I'm offering that to all of the attendees here. So if you're serious about growing your sales on Amazon and you just want to talk through and understand what the strategy would look like for you to hit your goals, you can go to go.elevategrowthgroup.com and you can see some of our recent case studies, and then you can book time directly on my calendar. So that's available to you, again, if it's something that you're seriously considering and you just want to kind of have a strategy jam session so that we can develop kind of a custom game plan for you. I also have a lot of great network connections for website, direct to consumer, running Facebook ads, social media marketing, and I'm happy to connect you with those folks as well. So I really feel like when you reach out to people who have done this time and time again for other brands, if they're honest and full of integrity, which most are, they're going to really look at your products, your brand, and your goals and give you good advice about what the next step should be. So, and then finally, as we mentioned before, please join us next week when we dive into kind of the business analytics for multi-channel sellers, so that as you're morphing your business into a true omni-channel business, you've got the right foundation, and you're not ending up surprised in 6 months or in a year when you go to do your taxes, or there's not, the cash flow in the bank looks different than what you were expecting, and then you realize that you didn't quite have the systems and operations in place to handle being multi-channel. It's complex, but that it's not scary. Don't let it stop you. It's just use this as an opportunity to get educated so that you can do it right from the start.
And I'll just add, the webinar that Emily mentioned for next week is happening same day, same time. a week from now, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, next Thursday. Here's a shortened version of the registration URL, so you guys can find it easily. We invite you to join us to talk about assessing profitability for multi-channel sellers. Now's a great time to start thinking about questions that you may have. For Emily, feel free to submit those in the Q&A section, and we'll address those shortly here.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. And I just popped that link into the chat as well so that you can easily copy and paste it and get yourself registered right now while it's on your mind. Block your calendar and we can jam more next week. So with that, we wanted to keep this pretty short and sweet so that way we have an opportunity to jump into the questions. So let's chat. What questions do you have about multi-channel expansion? Give everybody a second to pop that into the chat. Damon's saying that he's having trouble, I think, with slots available on my calendar. Damon, I'll take a look at that and get that fixed. There should be some availability, so I'll check on that and get back to you. Okay, so we have a question from Justin. Hi, Justin. Is there a way to quickly and cost effectively build excitement and traffic to create a blip in program sales? Yeah, it's a great question. And when we think about traffic, what we're really trying to do is capture attention. And so depending on your business, the most efficient way to capture attention is going to vary. So if you have a large Instagram following, for example, maybe not even on your business page, maybe it's on your personal page, that might actually be the quickest way to capture attention. Oftentimes, you can partner with an influencer, you can run a giveaway, and it doesn't have to be often even more than just giving away your product or like a $50 Starbucks gift card along with your product. So there are certainly ways to bootstrap it and do it cost effectively. Again, it just depends on your goal and what resources you already have available to you. People try and talk about email being dead. Email's not dead. So if you have an email list, that's a great option. Or there may be a company that is not a direct competitor to you that has a big email list. And maybe they would be willing to send out a promotion about your product or a giveaway that includes your product and theirs. So I really see the entrepreneurs that are thriving during coronavirus are those that have really tapped into creative solutions and using a lot of what's already available to them, or things that don't cost a ton of money. You don't have to hire a PR agency on a $30,000 retainer in order to capture more attention for your business. So great question. Okay, Damon's asking, do you recommend a broker or distribution consultant to help get into retail? The national chains buyers seem to require personal connections, and a broker may provide this, but at a high price. Yeah, so this is not my area of expertise, but I can share what many of our clients do. And actually Justin, who is here as a participant, has a lot of experience with that as well. So Justin, if you want to chime in, just make sure that you're in the chat that you select all panelists and attendees, so that way the attendees can see your response as well. So the brands that we work with, yes, they are often using some type of partner to get into retail. So there are many rep firms that have specific relationships with one or two channels. So having that relationship where they already know the Best Buy buyer, or they already know the Target buyer, and they travel to Minneapolis, on a weekly basis and meet with them. Yes, you have to pay for that, but it's oftentimes the way that this business is done. You will find some that don't require a retainer and will just work off of a percentage of the purchase order. So that's the way I've typically seen it done. It doesn't mean that you can't pitch those channels yourself, but often what you're trading is your time, and there's an opportunity cost associated with that. So let's say that it takes you 6 to 12 months to get that retail placement. And let's say that channel is worth $20,000 a month to you. Then by waiting 6 months, you've actually lost out on $120,000 in revenue. So when you think about it that way, working with a distribution consultant or a broker to help get you in there is actually quite cost effective. John asked the question, and actually let me just say, so it looks like Justin responded as well and said often a partner is needed to get attention, but it does not have to be cost prohibitive, and many times help you navigate programs and you come out ahead. The key is finding the right partners. I completely agree. And that's something that we could talk about on a future webinar as well. So if you're interested in hearing about getting ready for retail and how to get retail distribution, just pop it into the chat so that way we can understand the interest there. There's a question from John. If you already have good retail distribution, how are they going to feel about you selling on your website and or through Amazon? Ooh, I love that question. Thank you, John. Okay. So generally, retailers understand that they are not going to be your only channel. And when you look at the other products that are on their shelves, they will nearly all be sold through other channels as well. And so once you're in retail, the biggest consideration is your pricing, your MSRP or your MAP pricing. MAP stands for minimum advertised price. So as long as you're on Amazon or you're on your own website and you are abiding by your own MSRP or your own MAP pricing, retailers by and large are totally fine with that. They understand that. And again, it's the rising tide that raises all ships. And so we don't see Amazon having negative impact on retail or retail having a negative impact on Amazon. They can play really nicely together. The times where you get into trouble is if you have a bunch of resellers selling your product on Amazon, then they will start undercutting the pricing in order to win the buy box and get more Amazon sales. And that will ruffle the feathers of your retailers. So it just requires a little bit of extra strategy to make sure that you're doing Amazon properly. But again, it's done all the time. And what the data shows us is that every time brands expand into an additional channel, it's net new customer acquisition that actually helps all of the channels. So great question, John. Anybody else want to sneak in one last question before we wrap up? All right, well, I think that covers it. Thank you guys so much for your participation and your questions today. You're welcome to reach out to me directly, Emily@elevategrowthgroup.com, if you have questions that bubble up after this, or go ahead and book some time on my calendar. Damon, I'll get back to you directly on that. And Chris, did you want to add anything before we wrap?
Just wanted to thank everybody for joining us today, and again, extend the invite to join next week. We'd love to see you back again.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Same time, same place next week. We'll see you guys.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care.